All right, folks, thanks for joining me this Wednesday morning. Make sure you have a set of dumbbells. That's all you'll need, 3s or 5s, and let's get into it. Start off with drive those heels up to the butt. We'll take these to jumping jacks in just a moment. Keep those heels coming up in the meantime. All right, how about some jumping jacks? Try to keep your arms nice and straight here too. Exaggerate the size of the step, maybe a little wider than what's naturally comfortable. Get those muscles warmed up just a little more that way. We'll do high knees here next. A couple more jumping jacks. All right, some high knees. Let's just get that heart rate. Keep those knees coming up. I might be muting someone here in just a second if I keep getting feedback. Let's go back to those butt kicks. Nice and light on the feet. And then jumping jacks. We'll do those high knees again, but after a couple more here. And then some high knees. Drive them up, way up. We'll do a step back overhead reach. Here we go. Bend the back knee. Keep those arms nice and straight as they flex up. Pull the abs in. Stand to the heel of that front foot. Continue to try to straighten the arms. Keep that spine nice and lengthened. Long position. Pull those arms back without the head coming forward. Keep that head way back. Let's do one more on each side. Hold the squat here for me. Just a little shoulder flexion. Keep your arms nice and straight. Pulling the abs in. Nice and long through the arms here. Squeeze your glutes. And make sure that head stays back. Don't want that head coming forward. So 2 more here as well. We'll do some butt kicks again. And we got those butt kicks. Couple high knees here. We'll do one more of each, and then we're going to get into it. How about some butt kicks? And then those high knees. And you got it. Let's start off with some push-ups here. So whether you are from your knees or from your toes, doesn't matter. Choose what works for you. I'll show you a side profile here. I'm going to demonstrate from my toes, but join in with me whether you are here or from those knees. Doesn't really matter. I want you to continue to move as you hold that nice plank position. You can squeeze your shoulders back and down. Make sure the head, I'm kind of isolating it on the head here with some of the cues I've given you in the warm-up, but make sure the head does not come forward, particularly as you're pressing up. That's when you're most likely to let the head come forward, is on that pushing action away from the floor. So really just keep that head anchored back. Doesn't move forward as you go through your push-ups here. Your hands might be slightly turned out, by the way, as you're doing your push-up. So maybe a slight external rotation of the hand. And with that, it helps to contract the shoulder back and down just a little more effectively that way. So something perhaps you can employ or use with your own push-ups here. You got 20 seconds, and then we will be on our feet. I'm sorry, we'll be on our back. But anyway, let's keep going here. You got about 10 seconds. We'll finish up. Get a little arm burn going. Get a little shoulder burn. 2 more push-ups. The last one here. Flip over onto your back. Just doing a little flexion extension of the arms and shoulders, or I should say the legs and the arms and shoulders. So keeping your feet flexed. I do want your legs straight the entire time with this. I understand your legs are heavier than your arms, so perhaps you are limiting how far your legs move into extension here, but try to coordinate the arms all the way back. I'm sure you can get the arms to the floor, but coordinate how far the arms are going back to the floor with both joints. So whether you're here or you're here, it doesn't really matter. Try to sync the movement so you're hitting that endpoint range with the shoulders at the same time that you're hitting the legs. Again, make sure the back stays nice and flat on this, pulling the abs way in. So you do feel that lumbar spine making contact with the floor throughout. If you do not feel your lumbar spine making contact with the floor as you're particularly extending the legs here, because again, as I mentioned, the legs are heavy. By the way, you got 15 seconds. If you don't feel like your lumbar is maintaining traction with that floor, or at least imprinted with the floor, you've probably extended your legs too far. So don't quite lower them quite so much. Let's do one more here. We got a nice down dog. It's actually very complementary to what you were just doing. With your down dog here, I do want you shifting your hips around. So don't hold just a pure isometric static stretch. This is just a static stretch. I want you to actually kind of move your hips here right now. So what you can do is you can work on tilting. This is tilting. You can even tuck. I'm okay with that. And certainly rock side to side. As you rock side to side, do a tilt, do a tuck. Rock to the other side, do a tilt, do a tuck. Open up your hips as much as you can, particularly through the back of the hips. Those glutes, hamstrings. Got a lot of tailbone muscles that go over from really the sacrum over the side of the femur. The ball and socket joint. You can stretch all those muscles here, so you just kind of rotate around. Keep your shoulders out of your ears, though. I don't want your shoulders shrugging up. Just keep moving here. We're going to go about 20 more seconds or so, and then we'll go right back to push-ups here. Just keep moving those hips around. Don't let the hamstrings overwhelm some of the sensations that you feel up through the low back. So if you need to bend your knees a little more, please do so you can feel the opening through the back of the hips. If you don't feel the opening through the back of the hips, that's fine. In time, you will. Let's transition to push-ups now. So whether you are from your knees or from your toes, it doesn't matter. Well, let's just get into it. We're all working out here, and we're all kind of choosing our own intensity. So whether that is from the toes, whether it's from the knees, doesn't really matter. Just push yourself. Keep doing your push-ups. Keep moving. If you got nothing left in the arms and shoulders, totally losing form at the head and the neck, like for instance collapsing forward or down towards the floor with the head, just hold your plank position. There's no foul in that. Otherwise, keep moving. Keep doing your presses. You got 20 seconds here, and then we're going to flip onto our back for that supine exercise. Do want to get that little burn going in the arms and shoulders. It's certainly good for them. Stress those muscles out just a little bit. Makes you stronger. So 2 more push-ups here. 1 more. You got it. Flip over onto your back. So that supine exercise. So focus of this one really is to feel the spine flat with that floor, and then it maintains that flatness as you are moving your arms and legs through space. Obviously, your arms and legs attach to the spine, or the muscles themselves do, and so they are pulling on the spine. And the idea is that your spine is able to maintain this length and not have to shorten itself. The spine shortens itself as it contracts into extension, leaving the floor. And so that's why we're trying to maintain the length of the spine from start to finish as your muscles pull on the spine. You want to be able to stabilize the spine and maintain that same length from start to finish. So continue to work on pulling the abs in. Make sure that head and neck stay nice and flat. Let's do 1 more here. And then that down dog. Obviously, we do that exercise and variations of that quite often, but it's another way to think about it. So as you move through space with your arms going back or your legs going towards the floor with that, really focus on that flatness of the spine, the traction of the spine, because that's ensuring that you're stabilizing the spine, but it's maintaining its length as you are going through that stretch, that range of motion. That'll improve posture, it'll improve strength of the spine, stabilization, and I can give you 20 other buzzwords. It's just good stuff. So just really focus on that traction as you do those types of exercises. But anyway, as we are here right now doing that down dog, find what works for you for the stretch as you kind of move your hips around. Remember, tilt, tilt. This is tilt. This is tuck. It's not that anyone is better than another. So even to say that, not to say like posterior exercises, exercises that work through the back of the body, even though we emphasize it a lot. It's not to say that's inherently better than doing front exercises. You actually should be doing them one-to-one, but we tend to be so forward-leaning just in our lifestyles that it kind of necessitates doing more back exercises, more exercises for the back side of the body. But it's not to say that front exercises are inherently any worse than back exercises. We've got about 10 seconds here, and we've got another series, so just keep moving those hips around. Should feel kind of nice. Let's finish up here. Keep tilting, keep tucking. Good. Grab your dumbbells. On our feet, we got the little squats here. We're going to get that heart rate up a little bit. So it's a squat to an overhead press with your dumbbells in your hands. I want you to sit back in that squat. Sit nice and upright. Draw the abs in. Up to press. You pretty much know the drill with this one. So let's get into it here. Make sure to keep that lumbar spine in that neutral position. So like I was talking about with the traction of the floor, you want that spine almost as if you were to put literally the floor on your back or like a board on your back. How much of your spine could track with that board as you go through your squats. I didn't do a press there. Make sure you are doing your press as you go through the squat, and then finish it up with that shoulder press. Now with the shoulder press, we can work up the kinetic chain here. Make sure that the head's not falling forward. Kind of talked about that quite a bit already today. So keep that head back as you go through the shoulder press. Make sure your shoulders are down as you go through the shoulder press, and really focus on straightening the elbows at the top of that shoulder press. One last thing here, with those elbows straight, wrists straight, head back, you're going to pull those abs in. Try to imagine yourself being as skinny as possible on the side of the mirror. That's going to create that stretch and that lift through that lower part of the spine. But also strengthens the abdominals through the process because of the contraction of drawing things in towards the spine. It strengthens those muscles drawing in towards the spine, which is the core. So keep sitting back, neutral position, head, neck, all neutral here. We got one more squat. And then now just shoulder press. So yes, it's a lot on the shoulders. You'll be fine. Stand nice and tall here for me. I do want you to continue to move your arms. Yes, I do want this to be very fatiguing for the shoulders. It's 2 minutes of essentially shoulder work. Yes, we were doing a squat, but you were doing shoulders with it. And now we are directly isolating in on those shoulders. So as you're doing your shoulder presses here, again, you are still standing nice and tall, so make sure the weight's still on your heels. You are pushing down on your big toes. Your knees are straight. That's important. So again, the weight back on the heels, but the knees are straight. Pull up on those kneecaps, tight quadricep muscles. Squeeze the inner thighs. So I'm just working up the kinetic chain. You know what's going on. So then as you squeeze your glutes and pull your abs in, and we transfer into that upper back to work through the arms and shoulders, you're really making sure that head's not coming forward here. You're trying to open. You're trying to be broad, expansive through the front of your body, and contract to the upper back. So feel those upper back muscles engage. You get 15 seconds here as you go through your shoulder presses. As you look straight ahead, you do not see, or you can barely see, the arms in the peripheral of your vision because you're flaring those arms, contracting those upper back muscles we just discussed. So flare the arms, strengthen the upper back, keep the wrists straight, do a full range of motion. You got one more here. You got it. And then dumbbells at sides, just a backward lunge. Just keep moving those legs though. Like I said, I want to keep that heart rate kind of elevated through this little block here. I'll show you from the side here. So as you're stepping back, be mindful not to arch the low back on this. It's primarily the main complaint I have when people do lunges is, I'm going to demonstrate or exaggerate this, is that the low back excessively extends. This is extension, and that happens because the pelvis excessively tilts forward. So we don't want that, because obviously a lunge is supposed to be a glute exercise. So the more neutral your spine is, just in general, the more neutral your spine is, the easier it is to contract that big butt muscle. Maybe you've heard that 1,000 times from me. Maybe you heard it 1,000 times from someone else. That's fine. It's good to continue to hear the same cues. Just reinforces proper form and just alerts your attention towards things you should be thinking about, because it is impossible. It certainly is impossible. It's impossible for me. I assume it's possible for other people to put your attention to all the areas of the body at the same time and kind of perfectly. It's difficult to do. So it's good to hear the cues. Continue to step back here. Make sure that head is not coming forward. Shoulders are back. You got 10 seconds on this. Just keep stepping. Like I was talking about with the low back wanting to arch. So this one especially so, and that's because the shoulders attach into the spine, like the legs attach into the spine as I was discussing earlier. And because the arms are pulling on the spine one way, up you could think, because the arms are up, and the legs are pulling on the spine down, because the legs are obviously down, your spine is being pulled in two different directions. And so if that spine doesn't stretch, it contracts, which looks like this. That's a big exaggeration, but again, you're shortening the distance between these joints by arching. You are lengthening by not. So hold that knot with the arms nice and straight as you go through your lunges here. I want this to start burning through the arms. I want this to start burning through the legs. And then you just keep pulling those abs in to make sure you stay as neutral as possible through that torso. You got 10 seconds here. Make sure the head stays back. Continue to straighten the elbows. Try not to bend the elbows. I know they want to bend. Don't bend the elbows. Don't bend the elbows. Okay, bring your arms to your shoulders. We got squats. Yes, this is a pretty tough block. We're doing this intentionally to that overhead press. But we'll get through it anyway. Like I said, we do want to elevate that heart rate, but we're elevating it through muscular tension. Not so much like cardiovascular. It's not like you're running, around the block 4 times to get that heart rate elevated. We're doing it more through just intense muscle contractions. Just think of it that way. As you contract those glute muscles nice and tight, it is requiring more oxygenated blood to do the muscle contractions, which drives heart rate up. So focus on that. Focus on the quality muscle contractions. Literally within your muscles is what's driving your heart rate up. Because as you contract here, you're driving blood into that area that was just contracted. So another way to think about elevation of heart rate as you're doing a strength exercise, you are just demanding more oxygenated blood to the muscles that you are intensely contracting. So even if that is a lot, just contract your muscles and squeeze your butt. Really squeeze your butt. Stay nice and upright. Keep your head back, flare your arms, wrists straight. You know the cues. Pull the abs in so you can feel like it's going to hollow out through the front, through your core as you sit into that squat. If you're not there yet, that's fine. You got one more press here. Cool. Now let's shoulder press. Stand nice and tall. Squeeze your glutes. Weight back in the heels. Let's get right into it. Yes, I'm not even using weight. My heart rate's coming up. So I acknowledge that if you are using even anything more than no weight, you are working hard, especially if you're moving like I am, just moving. This is tough stuff. So do your best here as you stay back, ironing heels, push down on your toes. Really push down on your toes. Push your knees back. That's important. I want you to stand as tall as possible. Pushing your knees back helps with that. But make sure you feel strong around the knee joint. So tight muscles around that knee joint. Squeeze your glutes, pull your abs in. Okay, you got that nice anchor for your hips and low back now. Drawing abs away in, flare the arms. And make sure you go through a full range of motion. So that means all the way straight. Straighten the arms. Yes, this part sucks. Straighten them. Straighten the arms. All the way through. That's the full range of motion. Get them straight. You got 5 more seconds here. So let's do one more. Cool. Backward lunge. Okay. Continue to step. So again, after this minute, it's just the same thing, but then arms overhead. So right now, maybe take notice in terms of how the low back feels. Why? Because when your arms come up overhead, you're going to notice there's more tension here. So I want you to take this first minute right now. Try to isolate in on how this feels. Your arms are at your sides. So the lat muscles aren't pulling on the spine. Your arms, shoulders aren't pulling on your spine like they are here with your arms at your sides. Because they're not pulling on the spine, you're probably not feeling as much tension as you will be when your arms are up in the next 30 seconds. Just see if you can notice that, okay? Just see if you can notice the difference in terms of tension right here. If you can't, not a big deal, but you should be able to. But if you can't, not a big deal. In time, you will, just through the action of doing it and trying to think of the sensations in your low back. Let's go ahead and bring those arms up. Keep your arms nice and straight. Now feel your low back. Maybe you can just feel kind of the flanks running up to the sides here. Do you feel more tension with your arms maintaining a position? If you do, great. Great. Resist it. Fight that tension. Is it going to make it more fatiguing to hold your arms up? To fight that tension you feel through the mid and low back to keep your arms up right now? Yes, it is. Work through that. You're fine. Straighten your elbows, pull your arms back. Continue to bend that back knee, keep your wrists straight. Intensely contracting through the spine. Intensely stretching right now through the spine. This is good stuff. It's tough stuff. Continue to bend the knees, pull your arms back, straighten your arms. Don't bend your elbows. They are probably bending, because mine are. Straighten your arms back. Keep your head back. Pull your abs in. How about that low back, just as we discussed? It's not arching. Don't arch your low back. Pull your arms back. Straighten your elbows. You got one more on each side. Last one. You got it. So the dumbbells down, you got a Cobra Extension. I'll show you this from the side. So keep your low body out of the equation. Just, I would ask you to keep your heels together. So whatever effort requires you to have your legs and heels together, apply that. That aside, extend up for a Cobra Extension, pushing through the palms of your hands lightly, and then back down. That's it. Rinse and repeat. So you'll notice as you do your prone Cobra Extensions here, even as you are in the lift right here, your heels want to separate. Don't separate them. You don't have to supervise your legs together. Just hold them together, okay? But you will notice in this position, you are more likely to want to supinate the ankles and roll them out. Don't let that happen. Just goes to show how extension through the spine, extension through the low back actually affects the ankle. And you can feel that even by doing a Cobra Extension. It's kind of crazy. But it's these little tidbits you realize about your kinetic chain, about your own self, that will help to, if you're aware of it, it'll allow you to at least put the energy to improve it. Tightness. Because you shouldn't have to separate your heels to do a Cobra Extension. But a lot of people do. The front of their hips are tight. As that low back contracts in the Cobra Extension, it pulls on the front of the hips, which pulls all the way down the chain, separating the heels. Maybe that's you, maybe it's not. If it's not you, it doesn't matter. Still squeeze the ankles together as you lift. You got one more. Lift. You got it. All right, what's next? Okay, cool. Just switch the legs. So I want you on your chin here, palms facing down. Point your toes, and then lift up. Lift and hold for about a 3 count. And then back down. So I'm on my chin, you're on your chin too. Now it's important that the shoulders, because you are on your chin right now, your shoulders are not in your ears. So you're taking your fingers and you are reaching them away from your ears, your fingertips away from your ears, and then just push your palms into the floor as you lift one leg. Now as you lift the leg, it's important that you feel that same leg's hip on the floor. You're not rotating over to lift the leg. It's a different activity. So when you go straight up, keep the front of that hip down, point hard to that toe. You have 30 seconds yet, really hard to the toe. Make sure you're pulling up on the kneecap. So again, tightening that quadricep muscle. That'll further help to straighten the leg, quite a bit actually. So just see if you can feel that as you're lifting. You pull up on the kneecap. And then as you pull up on the kneecap, you reach harder through the big toe. That'll create a nice lengthening through the front of the shins. If you're a runner, it's a really nice stretch or counter stretch to someone who suffers from chronic shin splints. If you go to the front of their shins, pull up on the kneecap, point really hard to the toe. Let's do one more. And then go ahead, flip over onto your back. And give me a little bear hug. So release the back is essentially what we're trying to do here after the last 2 exercises, which did put your spine into extension, particularly the Cobra. That puts your back into a lot of extension, the upper back. That last exercise is really, it's designed more for the hip, more for the legs than it is so much the low back. Your low back will get into some extension. It will strengthen the low back. But even with that being said, the focus is when we do that leg extension, the last exercise we just did, we will do it again. Focus on your leg, hamstring, even the upper adductors, the glutes. See if you can feel one of these muscles lifting that leg up. And again, don't be discouraged if it's like you can't even lift the leg up. I understand, that's fine. You will improve. Just keep pulling the knees into the shoulders. You'll notice, again, I'm once again doing this bear with my shoulders at my ears. Again, the reason why I'm doing it this way and not bear hugging is I think this demonstration, at least when people watch me do it, they're more effective at keeping the shoulders drawn down because people lack some shoulder mobility. If you do it this way, it's fine. You do it this way, but you end up doing the exercise, your shoulders here, and it lifts your head off the floor and it kind of different of the traction. So we'll do it this way. Pull the abs in. Really pull the abs in. Tilt your tailbone. So try to push your tailbone into the floor as you pull your abs in. You know how to do that. You're strong. And go ahead, let that go. We're going to do the same round again. Let's do those Cobra extensions. Once again, I'll show you side profile. Squeeze your ankles together. We're going to get right into it. Squeeze your shoulder blades. It's a little more gentle of a round when you compare it to that last, like I was saying, maybe a couple of workouts ago. I do like to undulate intensity. So take advantage of this right now. This is not a cool down, but the prior circuit, if you will, was very intense. Got that heart rate up. Drove oxygenated blood all throughout the muscles. So you're nice and limbered up right now. And here's a wonderful opportunity to take advantage of that extra limberness and work through nice quality ranges of motion with good control. So take advantage of that. Your muscles are warmed up. Your nervous system is on. It's ready to go. So your tolerance to ranges of motion is improved over just at rest. So take advantage of that. Improve your range of motion through this opportunity of just warmed up muscles, warmed up nervous system. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Squeeze your elbows together. Make sure your heels stay together. Again, those heels probably want to separate. Don't let them separate. You can pull up by your kneecaps too, by the way, when you do a Cobra extension. Just to tighten the front of the thigh. That's fine. Let's do two more here. Squeeze the shoulder blades together nice and tight as the lift. Let's do one more here. And put even a little less weight into the palms. Maybe even a little less. Even a little less as you hold that last one. Nice job. Okay, let's on your chin. Get your shoulders out of your ears, even though you're on your chin, and then lift, pointing that toe. Really pointing that toe with a super straight leg, maybe a 3-second hold. Making sure the front of that hip stays on the floor. So to help with keeping the front of the hip on the floor, what I do is a slight internal rotation. So I'm turning the leg in slightly as I do the lift. It's not a lot, but it does seem to help to keep that hip down on that floor. Otherwise, I notice I like to kind of rotate open. So again, rotating the leg in, and I'm not saying you have to like completely internally rotate 20 degrees, but it's just like you're trying to subtly engage those upper thigh muscles, which will cause a little internal rotation of that femur joint or of that femur bone as you do your leg lift here. Do a couple more on each side. Continue to just point that toe. You got it. Let's do one more on each. I'm going to go ahead and give a bear hug. So I do want you to release your low back on this one quite a bit. So tilting might seem kind of contrary to that, but because you are pulling the knees in, it counters the tilt. So with you pulling those knees into those shoulders nice and firm, I want you to tilt your pelvis. So like you're trying to arch your low back. You're not going to be able to because you're countering the knees being pulled into the shoulders. So pull the abs in, squeeze your shoulders back and down, your head and neck nice and long. You're in a lengthened position. Pull the knees in. Now, how hard do you pull the knees in? You pull the knees in as hard as you're able to tilt your pelvis or to arch your low back, but don't harder. And you can think of tilting the same thing as the knees. How hard do you tilt your pelvis? Well, no harder than how hard you're able to pull the knees into the shoulders. They need to counter each other. And again, then you'll get the lengthening that you want through the lumbar spine. So tilt the pelvis down, pull the knees into the shoulders, draw the abs in, hold. Just hold. We've got about 20 seconds here. We got another little series. Looks like we will be doing a little hinging series. Single leg balance stuff. I think that stuff's real important. Just keep holding here for about 5 more seconds or so. And go ahead and let that go. Grab yourself a drink of water if you need, and then we are going to need our dumbbells for this. I just want to do a single leg balance. There's no reach with the arms, but have your hands at your sides. You're going to do the left leg down the entire time. Point that back toe. I will show you from the side. So with your hands down, point the back toe. Try to stay as square as you can. Hold for about a 3 count like we did the Cobra and then stand back up. Stand on that left side throughout. We're gonna do a full minute here. But again, make sure you hold the finish position for a count of 3 in your head and then come up. Again, why a 3 count? I do want a solid, you're self-assured, you can at least balance whatever range of motion you decided to tackle. So if you're in a full range of motion, you are right here. Assure yourself, stabilize the range of motion. It's really, really important. I'm not saying you're going to injure yourself, but that's actually how people generally injure themselves in exercises. They go too far into a range of motion with some given exercise, but they're not able to stabilize the position. You should be able to stabilize whatever range you went into. Otherwise, again, you've gone too far. You're probably torquing too hard at the joint. Switch legs. Same thing, but now on the right side. And again, that too much stress at those joints can lead to precarious situations with the muscles. So again, wherever you are, again, whether this is full range, this is about full range of motion, whether you're here or you're here, doesn't matter. You need to be able to stabilize for about a 3 count before you come up. Okay, I'm sure I'm clear at this point. Now let's just talk about form. So as you're going through your range of motion on your right leg right now, you got 30 seconds. Make sure you're pointing that back toe and your hips are staying square. So again, your left hip is no higher away from the floor than your right hip. Do your best not to drift to the right. So as that grounded leg is down, that right leg right now, oftentimes the torso will want to drift to that same right side. Try your best to stay forward. So imagine like you're just staying forward in those lanes. Keep the dumbbells at your sides, alternating backward lunge. We're going to flush that out. And then we're going to do the whole series again. So again, I want this one to be fairly fatiguing. This is quite taxing on a lot of muscles, particularly the hamstrings, adductors. They got a really, really, really good workout doing single leg balance stuff. Trouble is, hamstrings tend to be like a really overabused muscle with a lot of people. They're just so tight. And the tighter that the hamstring gets, the harder it is to do those exercises, those single leg balance exercises. Because obviously you're stretching the hamstring quite a bit. But if it's super tight, doesn't want to stretch, obviously it's going to make stretching in the exercise quite hard, let alone even balancing. So think of it this way, if your muscle's super tight, it's really hard to like contract the muscle with a lot of feel. And if you think about balancing exercises, it really is about just the sensation, the feeling of like the subtlety of your muscles stretching and contracting. Let's go ahead and do the left side here. So if the muscle is so tight, it gets in the way of the sensation of like the muscles contracting to stabilize the joint. Obviously, it's going to be hard. Continue to work on these balance exercises, just with as much patience as you can muster, because they will get better. And again, the sensations of like actually feeling like the hamstring kind of lengthen, but feeling the quadricep muscles contract help stabilize the knee. Those sensations will come in time, just as you remain patient with the movements. Point the back toe, pull the abs in. Make sure that that standing left leg right now, that knee is straight. So you are pulling up on the kneecap to try to tighten this muscle. So if I were to touch this muscle, you're to touch this muscle right here, this vastus medialis. I want it to feel tight. If it doesn't feel tight, you're not stabilizing the knee as solidly as it could be. So that's a consideration. Let's go and switch to the right side. So again, whether you are here or you're in a full range of motion, I want you to feel strong around this muscle, this vastus medialis, this one right here. Again, if you don't, it's not a big deal. Just keep trying to pull up on that kneecap. Again, hold for about that 3-second count. Pull the abs in. Make sure hips are nice and square. Point the toe. Really point the toe. Make sure your back is not flexing forward. That's important. We got about 30 seconds yet. So when I get to this bottom position here, I really do feel all corners of my foot like really flat, imprinted on the floor. I feel a solid arch in the foot, like a nice arch, as again the weight is evenly distributed through the foot. I don't feel any more weight on the outside of the foot as I do kind of to the inside of the foot. It's a pretty even distribution, but most people tend to shift the weight out. That's why the ankle tends to like to supinate. Wear patterns on the shoe or on the outside. You got 10 seconds here, so just keep moving. And so if that's you, if that's the case, just really try to get the weight on the inside of the foot by pushing down hard on those big toes. Backward lunge. Here we go. Bending that back knee. Yeah, that was a long minute. Good job. You get through it. Hopefully you did that full minute on that right side as well. It's good stuff for you. And not only does it strengthen you, it obviously improves how the muscles tolerate stretch, which is really, really important for not just the balancing that you did, but even just general strength and movement quality. So we'll continue to work on that kind of stuff. And again, just take note in terms of what are the sensations you feel today, because you do want to kind of take inventory in terms of how exercises feel, since we do revisit the exercises. What subtle changes do you notice? You know, perhaps as your range of motion improves, how much tension do you feel, right? Or how strong did you feel as your range of motion improves? You got 15 seconds here. And we're going to keep the dumbbells in our hands. Got another nice little tough block coming ahead. Let's do one more here. You got it. All right, shift into a sumo squat. So we're going real wide on our feet here. And we're doing alternating abduction and flexion. So pull the abs in, make sure your hips are in a neutral position. We're doing flexion here first. Keep your arms nice and straight. And then turn the palms forward. Abduction here. Palms will stay forward the entire time. Bring them in front. So flexion to abduction. If you haven't joined, please do. Now, when you're in your abduction here, you are trying to stay as wide as you can. So arms out to the peripheral of your vision with the abduction. With the flexion, you're focusing on not arching the low back and not letting the head come forward. You're also going to keep the arms nice and straight. So I'm pretty low here in a sumo squat. I'm almost actually at full depth. You can find a position that works for you. You find a position where it feels like you're able to get through the best range of motion that you can through your arms, the best range of motion through your arms, without letting the hips completely affect what's going on up in here. So again, if you feel like you're sitting too low and it's really causing all sorts of issues with your arms up here, come up a little higher. Okay? As your range of motion improves, as your spine mobility improves, because that's really what it boils down to, it's your spine mobility here. As your spine mobility improves, yeah, sure, sink a little lower. As you also get stronger, sure, sink a little lower. It's good for you. But wherever you are, we got 20 seconds yet. It should start to feel like a forever minute. We want that. Keep your arms nice and straight. Keep your elbows straight. Keep your head and neck nice in a long position. Remember to draw your abs in. It's really important. Draw those abs in. Okay, another tough exercise. It's an overhead squat. Keep your arms up. So we're combining the 2 minutes. You need a break here, that's fine. Listen to your body. But I do want this to be fatiguing. Let's get that heart rate up. Get that heart rate up through intense muscle contraction. That's essentially what's going to happen. Keep your elbows straight because they want to bend. Now pull your arms back. Keep your arms pulled back. Don't let your arms fall forward. I know they want to fall forward. I can feel mine really want to fall forward. And I'm not even holding on to weight. So if you're holding on to weight, just do your best to keep your arms up. Keep your arms nice and straight. Keep your arms back. Sit back. Try not to arch your low back. You got 15 seconds here. Yes, you're fine. You'll get through it. Keep your straight arms straight. Arms back. Wrist straight. Head back. Abs in. We got 10 seconds here. You'll get through it. Straighten your elbows again. Wrists, they're bending. Pull the arms back. Keep your wrists straight. Elbows straight. One more squat. You got it. All right, situate dumbbells down real quick. We got half moon. Cross your right arm, or right leg, excuse me, over your left leg. Stay hips forward. Left arm, grab your right arm. Push your right hip, obviously to the right. Pull your left arm to the left. I guess you're pulling with your left arm, your right arm to the left. Now, a couple things to think about. We're only holding here for about 30 seconds or so. As you pull, I want you to push your right hip back. Push your right hip back. And now with this left arm, pull your right arm back. But keep your right hip back. Okay, come out of that to the other side. Cross your left leg over your right leg. Take your right arm, grab your left. And then push your left hip to the left as you pull your left arm to the right. Okay, I got it right that time. There's so much left and right, sometimes it's hard to just keep track. Anyway, keep your arms back, pull those arms back as you push your left hip to the left. Now I want you to push your left hip back As you pull your left arm back, we are trying to stretch the entire lateral left side of the body here. Is it uncomfortable? Yeah, that's okay. Don't take it to pain. Come out of that. Nice job. Okay, we're going to go through that again. Grab your dumbbells. So hold that nice wide sumo squat. We got flexion and abduction. So flexion here, abduction here, and you are joining if you haven't already started. Pull the abs in, squeeze the glutes. Again, you can see how upright I am. That is the goal. You want to be tall, expansive, open. You are not falling forward. We are building strength through the posterior chain. I like to say that a lot, posterior chain, just the backside muscles. Holding uncomfortable positions like this, because who in their right mind would just hold this position? Does a wonderful job, or holding positions like this, do a wonderful job of strengthening the muscles of that posterior chain. So I guess we are in our right of minds to do this with, I guess, intent to strengthen that posterior chain. So continue to hold here, continue to work here, draw the abs in, head, neck nice and long, arms straight. You got 20 seconds yet. I know it feels like a long time. As that fatigue sets in, always come up a little higher out of the squat. That's fine. But if you got a little more in you, why not match me here and sink down just a little lower for the last 10 seconds or so. So if you've got a little gas in that tank, join me. Sink down just a little lower for the last 5 seconds here. We're going to do one more good rep here with you at the lowest point that you can muster. Good. Come out of that. Nice job. So overhead squat. We're not coming out of that. Sorry about that. Keep your arms up the entire time. And now squat. So even a little more difficult minute, but you're fine. Keep your arms nice and straight. Pull those arms back. Keep the arms nice and straight. Wrists straight, elbows straight. Shoulders down. Don't arch the low back. Again, as I was talking about earlier, with that lunging exercise, when you brought your arms up, how you noticed the tension in your low back or mid back start to increase. Again, start to sense these things. Again, you might be extremely tired right now and everything just hurts. Acknowledge it. Then at this point, just work through the minute. Just do your best to stay as upright as you can, not falling forward, not falling internally as we go through our squats here. Good news is we just have 15 seconds. So we'll get through them here together. Keep your elbows nice and straight. Really just right now with me, focus on your elbows. Yes, there's 10 other things we could talk about, but just right now, elbows with me. Keep those elbows straight. Elbows again, straighten them. Pull the arms back again, just elbows. Last squat here. You got it. Set the dumbbells down. Let's do that half moon. Let's go to the left here. So cross the right leg over the left. Take your left arm, grab your right arm, and then push your right hip to the right as you pull with your left arm. Pull your left arm is pulling your right arm to the left. Now, as you pull that right arm, I want you to pull it back. Pull the arm back. As you push your right hip to the right, push it back a little bit, because likely what's happening is the right hip is coming way forward with your right arm coming way forward. This should make sense. When you fall forward, you're not engaging the back side of your body. Hence why I'm always like, go back to engage back. Let's go ahead and switch sides. So now cross that left side, left leg over the right. Take your right arm, grab your left. Push your body to the left as you pull that left arm back. And as you push your left hip back. Now, yes, you are still pushing your whole body to the left, but you just want to ensure that this left hip isn't rotating way forward. It likely is. And I'm sure you probably don't have side mirrors. If you do, that's fantastic. If you don't, this is likely occurring. You're probably getting a little transverse rotation. But we are trying to do lateral. You got 10 seconds here. We are trying to do lateral flexion of the spine. So pull the arm back. Draw the abs in one last time for me. Go ahead, come out of that. All right, we're going to be on the mat. We got a little quadruped exercise I'll show you from the side. So alternating opposite arm and leg extension. So a little coordination here. I have confidence that you can manage this one. So point to toe, keep the arm nice and straight. It's just a quadruped alternating opposite arm and leg reach. Important things to think about on this one. Since we're not really loading the body with it, it's actually very gentle. It's a very gentle mobility exercise. That's not to demerit the movement or the exercise, because I think this is very important. Focus on neutral shoulder position, neutral hip position. and making sure that the back does not do this as you are reaching your arms and legs. I know that's silly and it's kind of an exaggeration, but again, I see it a lot. I see people's backs all over the place when they're simply trying to extend an arm and a leg. So this is you. You are solid, you are tight, you are strong through your midsection, even though we're not loading it. Doesn't matter. You are still tight, you are controlled, you are solid through the column, so that you can move your arm and leg without unnecessary rotation. Just continue to do this as deliberately as possible. Again, this is not a throwaway exercise. A lot of people think, oh, good, it's easy. Great. Oh, well, sure. I mean, we're not compressing the joints with all sorts of load, but the purpose is really important of what this is trying to do. Arguably just as important as any other exercise. Let's do one more on each side. And we got a little cat-cow here, last one. Really pull your abs in here on the last one as to not out-arch the low back that way. Really pull the abs in. And then draw the right shoulder, or whatever shoulder is up, or arm is up, draw that shoulder down, and then lift the arm nice and straight. Good, come out of that. We got a little cat-cow complementary. Since we're moving the spine, let's continue to move that spine. You got flexion with your cat. You got extension with your cow. Like I was saying, it's not that either one position of the spine is more important or better than the other. So again, cat, flexion of the spine, cow, extension of the spine. We do a lot more extension stuff than we do flexion stuff, but I think that's just because our lifestyles warrant that. However, again, it's not to say that extension is inherently better than flexion. Technically, you should do both equally. And you want to be just as good at flexion. This is really the key. This is really the kicker in terms of you tuning into your own spine health and your own mobility. Are you as good at flexion as you are at extension? And you should be. Your spine should really be able to move equally in either extension, flexion, lateral, twist, rotation. And so again, if you start to notice areas of your spine, let's do a quadruped position. I'll just keep talking here. Go back to the first. But as your spine stiffens, if it stiffens, perhaps try to take note where it feels like its mobility is worse. Is it worse at extending through the upper back, but it's really good at flexing through the upper back? And you're really good at extending through the low back, but you're really terrible at flexing through the low back. Again, if you can start to kind of pick up on your own natural limitations, it can at least give you some insights in terms of where to direct your attention when doing a lot of the exercises that I cue. Because if you know you're inherently not that great at thoracic extension, then when we do shoulder presses, you can really try to focus in on these muscles so as to improve that thoracic extension, so as to improve the health of your spine. I think those are good things. Pull the abs in. Save time. Okay, we got 10 seconds here. Talking a lot. Let's do one more on each side. Lucky us, we get to do another cat-cow. You got it. And cat-cow again. Again, take advantage of this. Again, flexion. Get every single joint to flex. Extension. Do the opposite. Get everything to extend. All of them. Squeeze your shoulder blades back and down. Tilt as hard as you can. And then release. Release everything. To further contract in the cow position. So when I'm in this position here, I'm trying to further contract the upper back. What I try to do is cause a twisting sensation with my palms. I'm trying to externally rotate. That further contracts the shoulder blades along the flanks of the spine nice and tightly. You get 10 seconds here. I do the opposite when I'm in the cat position. So I'm actually trying to internally rotate, expand. It doesn't mean my shoulders are coming up to my ears. It's like I'm trying to take the shoulder blades and get them to, laterally rotate, if you will. Anyway, let's do one more here. You got it. And let's see. We are Pidgeon. Nice. Very complimentary. So take your left leg under your right. So you're going to try to square your hips the best that you can when you do Pidgeon here. The full form Pidgeon is flattening yourself perfectly to the floor like so. If you are not there, that's perfectly fine. If you need to support yourself in this position, cool. If you need to even Hold yourself here. I will show you from the side because the back of the hip does not want to release. This is fine as well. This works. So again, you can see where I'm at. This would just be a regressed position right here. Okay, that works. But if you have more range, you can start to lengthen through that back leg. You still have more range, and you're able to keep the back leg hip more or less square so you don't look like this. Then great. Then go ahead, start reaching. We're just going to go 15 more seconds on this side, so wherever you are is fine. Pigeon can be really, really, really intense. So please back off if it's like exceeding a 7 in terms of the stretch sensation. Go ahead, switch sides. So we'll do the right side right now. Again, I'm showing you face on just so you can see that the squareness of the hip is really important here. So again, let's try to sit back just a little bit. Square through the hips, and then I lean forward. And again, I'm trying to make sure that the left hip is staying as square as the right hip. So again, that would probably mean that I'm rotating, or probably means that you're rotating your left hip down as you hold this position. You can do a little movement in pigeon, just a little bit. Maybe you can relax into some of the muscles that way. Just slow your breath down. Just back off. You can always back off on tension, because we're going to do a second round of this. Backing off on tension, oftentimes when you get back into it a second time or a third time, will allow you to sink in just a little bit further. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't have to do that. Just 5 more seconds here. Almost done. All right, the corpse pose. But hold your arms back for me, okay? So we're here. Just hold your legs in their lanes. Now, actively, we are going to hold our arms 6 inches or hands 6 inches apart, no wider. I just want you to hold a perfect shoulder flexion with your arms straight, elbows straight, wrists straight. Try to get the entire arm flat to the floor. Now, in this position, you probably notice your low back is arching a lot. I need you to pull your abs in and try to tuck your tail under. Reaching hard to the heel of the foot will help with that endeavor. So with your heels, I want you to reach hard. What you're trying to do right now is stretch yourself in two different directions, essentially. So with your heels, reach them hard towards that wall. Make sure the back of the leg is nice and flat to the floor and the feet are not flopping open. We're not doing that. We're staying square. Pull up on your kneecaps, tighten those thigh muscles. You can feel the back of the legs even flatter to the floor that way. Draw your abs in, tuck your hips under. Squeeze your glutes if you can, but don't let the feet externally rotate. Keep pulling your abs in. Now pull your shoulders back and down, but don't arch the low back as you do that. Continue to draw those abs way in. Keep the arms nice and straight. Straighten the elbows a little more. Keep the wrists nice and straight. Head, neck nice and long. Hold. Don't lose the low back. Flatten your low back. Go ahead and let that go. We got a left leg pigeon once again. So you can, this will actually help to release that low back. So if you do feel, maybe not like completely today, but in general, pigeon will help to create a little more length, little improved length relationships, if you will, through your lumbar, tailbone, kind of those muscles, glutes, piriformis, et cetera, et cetera. So if you do feel, what I'm trying to get at is if you do feel your low back arching a lot when you're doing that last movement, it's okay. It's okay, but things like this will help to release those low back muscles so that when we do things like that, yeah, you're actually able to feel your entire spine stay flat to the floor. So again, just take note how flat does your spine, or how well does your spine track with the floor today? That's fine. You see some sort of sense of where you are. Let's go ahead and switch sides. And then as you just improve over time, it'll be a nice way of measuring your own fitness progress just by movement quality. I think that's actually a really nice way of tracking one's physical health improvements, is the quality of how they move and seeing improvement with that. Anyway, we'll hold about 20 more seconds here. And then one more of that little corpse pose. Kind of a nice little gentle finish today. Although we did do some fairly challenging, not the most complex exercises in the world, but the difficulty of doing the movements together is quite challenging. So there were some definitely difficult exercises today. And come out of that on our back here. So hold those arms again. Again, the emphasis right now is straight arms, arms straight back. So again, we are holding. Keep your arms nice and straight. Pull the abs in. Again, slightly tucking the hips under. Shoulders back and down. And just hold it. Pull the foot. Pull up on your kneecaps. Tuck the hips under slightly as you draw the abs in. Shoulders back and down. So my arms are on the floor. I'm not holding my arms, but I have tension in my arms because I'm actively contracting my shoulder blades back and down as I'm actively trying to straighten the elbows, keeping the wrists nice and straight as well. Slight tuck of the chin is fine. Just keep holding. Got about 10 seconds. Just keep holding. Pull the abs in. And go ahead, let that go. Nice job. So we will call that a day. Thanks for joining me for another workout. Plan on doing something very similar to this on Saturday at 9. So hope to see you then. Thanks.